Do not change the station. What you're hearing is coming from the Big Sci-Fi Podcast and the Trek Geeks Podcast Network. Stay tuned for the next exciting episode of... Wait a minute. Receiving a new transmission. What is that? What am I seeing? It's big. It's really big. Oh my God, it's so... Welcome to Season 6 of the Big Sci-Fi Podcast, the biggest sci-fi podcast in the galaxy. Join our crew, Adina, Brian, Cris, and Steve, as we travel the Milky Way looking for the best that science fiction has to offer. Make sure you're strapped in tight, because we're going to have a lot of fun talking all things sci-fi. Stay tuned to this channel for the next audio transmission.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Big Sci-Fi Podcast. Today, we are thrilled to beam aboard a very special guest, Matt Kaplowitz, the voice behind the popular podcast Trek Untold. Matt dives deep into some of the lesser-known stories of the Star Trek universe, bringing fans unique insights and uncovering hidden gems of our favorite franchise. And he's also one of the podcasters who, like us and several other podcasts from the Trek Geeks Network, will be at Trek Long Island in just about a week. So after we spend a little time today getting to know Matt, we're going to play a little trivia, getting everyone's appetite ready for the Trek trivia and games at Trek Long Island that we'll be hosting like we did last year. Matt, welcome to our show.
Hey, Big Sci-Fi folks. Thanks for having me.
We are very happy that you're here. How excited is everybody for Trek Long Island?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Too excited.
There's something in particular, besides hanging out with you folks, including Matt here, who I got to meet last year, and we just had a brief conversation, but it was a pleasure meeting you last year, Matt, and I've been following your show and all that stuff. So besides hanging out with you great people and all of the community at Trek Long Island, I'm excited because Adina, fellas, is going to take us to a new pizza joint to give us some authentic New York pizza. As good as the pizza was last year, our first day together, she says there's better. So we're going to...
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super psyched.
For people who might not know, I grew up about 10 minutes away from where Trek Long Island is happening. So that's where I come from. And yes, last year I was so tired. We went to the easiest place we could go to, near where my mother lives, where I was staying. So this year, plan is we're going to go to just better. But now let's see. So Matt, Trek Untold, so our listeners know a little bit about the Big Sci-Fi Podcast, but they might not know about Trek Untold. Tell us a little bit about your podcast.
Yeah, sure. So Trek Untold is an interview series where every episode I talk to different people who contribute to the Star Trek universe. And that can be people like character actors, stunt performers, writers, directors, behind the scenes crew, visual effects people, comic book artists. I've had toy creators in the show as well, and just people who are involved in the fandom. So really, it's kind of just anybody and anyone who has been a player in the Star Trek universe, whether they're big or small. And that also includes, I have had some like more well-known, more recognizable names, but quite often the show brings in performers who are like, these are the folks that if you're watching a movie or see something on TV, you'll be like, I know that person. And we have a deep dive with them. We talk, not just about Star Trek, because really, whenever I like reach out to guests to be on the show, I'm like, yeah, Star Trek's like a third of the show. If we even discuss it a third of the show, that's lucky. Usually it's like a quarter, because really like, the whole goal of my show is when I talk to folks, I want to get the whole story about who they are. Because really, Trek is a very important part of everybody's lives, but it's also just a small piece of it. And it's a small part of who they are. So, if I'm talking to an actor or behind the scenes person or whatever it is, I kind of want to like paint the full picture of who they are as a human being and a person, and the choices and decisions that they made in life that ultimately affected what they do now as a person, do whatever that they're doing. So basically the personal things that they did, their personal choices that led them to do what they do as a professional.
And how did you get started with all that?
I think the inspiration came from actually when I went to a fan convention. I went to a fan event in California, 2019. And I remember just like walking around and just like meeting some of the folks. And I was never really an autograph hound, to be completely honest. I never really did that. I started doing it a little bit a few years prior with like pro wrestlers. That's like another thing I'm into. I like pro wrestling. So I started doing it. Yeah. So I started doing like some events and like meeting the wrestlers and that kind of stuff. But that kind of got me hungry for more. Because like you guys know, especially when you go to a Star Trek convention, especially like a big one, you get to spend like 30 seconds with somebody, and it's kind of nothing, So as opposed to like something like Trek Long Island, not a shameless plug, but the truth, a show like Trek Long Island, it's smaller, so you get to really hang out with folks, but still, it's like maybe you get a few minutes. So I got to this event, whatever. I was talking to folks, and I was like, this is cool, but like, man, I want to know more about these folks, because like I feel like no one really knows who they are, and like you see their faces, so there's I'm sure a lot more to them. So that was kind of the impetus for it. And honestly, what happened was then that was 2019. What happened in 2020? We all know. So basically, a lot of folks I was interested in talking to had a lot more free time all of a sudden, and that's kind of where it began in I guess spring of 2020.
Wow.
That's great. That's great.
So I love that you said you really wanted to get to know people more and let them share their stories more. What kind of stories do you like to hear? What stories are you looking for when you're interviewing guests on your show?
Yeah, the thing about that, Brian, is like honestly, I have like what I want in my head to be an episode. That doesn't always mean that that's what my guest wants to tell me about when they're talking to me.
Sure.
So I also come from a background in documentary film and some other things, and I've kind of learned like you don't get to shape what they're going to tell you. They're going to tell you what they want to tell you. You got to be flexible and go with it. So it depends on who the person is, but honestly, I can usually tell in the first like 5 to 10 minutes of what they're going to give me, what they want to tell me, and how they want to tell it. So I have to then adapt to what that is. Again, going from documentaries, my big thing is I like to really crack the shell of a person open and see what's inside them. And not everybody wants to give me those stories. Not everybody wants to go that deep, but I really like it when I find a guest who like we get a real good rhythm and we're going really beyond whatever they expected coming here with. Like that's one of my favorite compliments when I interview somebody is like when they say, wow, I've never thought about that before. Or, and it's not just nobody asked me that. It's just, I've never thought of that before. And that it's, I'm putting a perspective on their life. And I've had a lot of episodes where I've had that where, honestly, I've actually had a few occasions where I've made guests cry, and I'm happy about that because they kind of needed it. They kind of like needed a release. They needed to hear something maybe that they've wanted to hear and just never has happened before I like to kind of be that as well for people. So
I don't think we've made anyone cry.
No. Not yet. I don't think so.
Not yet.
No.
Is that like on the podcast bingo card? Yeah. Should that be one of the things? Make a guest cry? Like I don't.
Yeah.
I like making people cry too, Matt. It's. I think when it's done well and skillfully, it's an art form.
Stop it, Brian. Stop it right now. Matt, I have to confess to you right now. I have never listened to your podcast before.
This interview is over. Goodbye, Steve.
No.
All right.
I'm apologizing. I'm apologizing. But what I did was I did go to your site and I looked through the list of different people you've interviewed, and I clicked on the one for Clint Howard because I admire Clint Howard a lot. And I listened to your podcast of him, and it reminded me of another podcast I've heard where the people who are interviewed are just like you said. You get them to open up, you get them to speak, get them tell the story behind their story. You listen to them, you let them talk. You don't demand the conversation. And the only other podcast I know does that is called the Big Sci-Fi Podcast. I've heard of them before. And I mean, that's what we try to do. That's what we try to do with what you did. So I admire the work you do and what you discussed with Clint about him, his brother, the book they wrote about and all that. And it was really very well. So my hat's off to you as doing a wonderful job as a interviewer and the type of guests that you get on your show.
Thank you, Steve. That's one of the big things. Like if you're doing an interview, you really shouldn't be talking more than they are. It's as simple as that. I mean, if you're spending more time talking about yourself or trying to relate a story to them, it's going to go nowhere. It's going to disengage whoever you're talking to. That's just in life too, right? I mean, if you're talking to somebody, you want to crack into what their interests are. You want them to be excited, and you want them to then in turn talk to you more. And that's just part of the process of really getting a guest to also trust you. Because, whatever your time length is when you have a guest on your show, and you guys know this, it's a limited window. And your goal is, as a podcast, you want to get the best out there as well. But it's more than just that. It's not just about making a product. It's also about making a connection. And if you don't make that connection, you're not going to have a good product. So at the end of the day, it's a combination of those things, building that trust. And to go back to Clint too, that was one of those episodes where I was kind of like, this dude's been doing this forever. What am I going to talk to this guy? And like, how am I going to make him break through? And like, same thing. By the end of it, he was like, you're pretty good for a Star Trek guy. I'm like, well, thank you.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Yeah, that was the feeling I got from it. And again, here's a guy who's been on literally almost every decade of Star Trek. He's been appearing on it right up until recently on the second season of Strange New Worlds, where we interviewed Davey Perez, the writer of that particular episode, and it was just so well. He did such a great job on it, and it just showed, his acting chops have been great all through his entire life.
Yeah, I love Clint Howard and the Deep Space Nine two-parter Past Tense.
Yes,
I love seeing him, and that was such a, first of all, fantastic two-part episode. But Clint Howard's, every time he appears, it's special. It's neat.
Yeah.
So is there a guest that you haven't interviewed yet that you are dying? Like who's your white whale? Is that the right metaphor? Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go with it. Yeah. I mean, I think unfortunately, the white whale for me is really are just people who aren't around anymore. Unfortunately, I would have loved to have had Renee from Odo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was, and I think by the time I started, it was too late. Also, I don't quite remember when the timeline syncs up there, but yeah, I mean, I tell a lot of guests, not a lot, but I have enough guests now where I guess looking retrospectively, it is a lot, where I tell them, hey, when I first started the podcast, I made this dream list of folks I wanted to get. And I've been scratching those names off the last few years.
Nice.
I'm just like, well, I'm running out now. And that's cool because it also opens me up to be able to just go after other folks and whatever. I built more of a reputation. I mean, I had the sex candle ghost. Cool. Okay, I got him. I got Duncan Laguerre. I just had William Sadler recently, who was again, one of those folks who I was dying to talk to. And he was one of those guys who I had to hunt down for a while just because, time just never syncs up. I call myself this is a different franchise here, but since we're the big sci-fi podcast, I feel like I can say this.
Sure, yeah.
I'm kind of like the Mandalorian of Star Trek, and that I'm the bounty hunter. And if I want to talk to you, I'm going to find you, and I'm going to get you. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Love it.
William Sadler's one of those stories.
Your tagline.
Yeah.
And yes,
I love it.
you did mention in your podcast that you love both Star Wars and Star Trek. You don't pick one against the other, and that's good.
I was a Star Wars kid first, actually. I'm trying to remember. I guess I was Star Trek first when I was little. Then I got away from it because that's when the prequels began to happen in around 97. Honestly, my whole Star Trek journey begins in toys. So around 96, 97, Star Wars toys were popping up and becoming more popular. I was a Star Wars guy for a long time. It wasn't until a long time later that I got back into Star Trek. So I've always been all over the place with my sci-fi stuff.
I tell you, I have always been Star Trek was my first love in my life. And then I didn't see the original Star Wars films until sometimes in the 90s on VHS tape. And I was like, wait a minute. I love this. It's different. Star Trek is still my first love. Always has been, always will be. But I dig Star Wars. I think we all do. We all like the wars too. And that's okay. It's a wonderful, big, wide mosaic of a world we have that we can live in. So everybody just get along.
You said you started out Star Trek with the toys. I don't think out of all the people we've talked to or just in life, that has never been someone's story that the toys got them into Star Trek. Did I hear that right?
That is correct. I'm a crazy toy collector also. So that goes back to my younger days. And I can remember really vividly, a lot of my earliest Star Trek memories were related to action figures. And those would be the Galoob ones, those ones that came out first for TNG. And I can remember one Christmas setting them up on this chair next to my cookies for Santa and my milk. And I had my Starfleet crew guarding them to make sure that he got them. I can remember, and then again, a few Christmases later, I can remember getting that first wave of TNG figures from Playmates. So a lot of my memories. Very
cool.
Yeah,
so
those are great toys.
Were you watching the show too, or?
I was. Yeah, I can actually remember bits of the first season when I first watched it. I have a weird memory. I can go as far back. I can go further back than that even sometimes. I have a weird memory, but I can remember actually watching Tasha Yar die. I remember that night on TV. I remember being confused by it. I remember oh, okay, this is not good, whatever happened to her. And I was shocked. Even as a little kid, I was like, oh, I guess she's not coming back. Yeah, I can remember a lot of that kind of stuff. And I did watch TNG growing up as well. I didn't, funny enough, my background for Zoom is DS9. By the time DS9 was on TV, I had kind of tapped out from Star Trek. Like I was still paying mild attention by the end of TNG, but I started getting into Star Wars and other things in my life. So I definitely moved away from Trek for really decades, I think. And it was the toys that got me back into it. Because there was a Comic-Con, I think in like probably 2015 or 2014 I went to, and someone was selling like all the old Playmates TNG figures. And I was like, they're dirt cheap. I never had these as a kid. I want them. I'm going to buy them. They're going to cost me nothing. Why not? And then the gateway opened, and so it began.
Yes. Yes. So I had commented on your Deep Space background because Cris and I have a particular love for Deep Space Nine out of the four of us here.
Well, I don't want to be biased, but you're now both my favorites on this podcast.
All right.
Hey,
Yeah,
I mean,
I think it's.
I knew there was connection here. We
love Deep Space Nine, but just there's levels, and something's got to be on.
But it's hard.
Yeah.
Because like I've always been a TNG guy, but now I like the last week I'm like, you know what? I think I like DS9. Like I think I can say that's my favorite.
Really? Okay.
Because
go ahead.
Oh yeah, just because it's just so well written and the storylines, the characters grow. It's just like I can't say enough. And like I think I go back to that more than TNG now. But it pays me to say it because TNG was my show. That's what I grew up with. That to me is Star Trek.
I like to say TNG is my sentimental favorite because that's what I grew up in. And then Deep Space Nine, Matt, I stuck with it from day one. I didn't get frustrated with it because it was so different. They didn't have a ship to fly around in. I loved the characters from day one and stuck with it. So I got to kind of see the progression of that show. And the whole time I'm telling all my other Trek friends, this show is fantastic. I can't believe you're not watching it. But because we didn't have streaming, old enough to say that, that it was hard to go back and watch it. You had to stay up late at night to watch the reruns or, catch it in the off season on Saturdays whenever they weren't producing new episodes. So it was much harder for fans back then to go back and rewatch it as it is today. So because of streaming, I'm just thrilled fans are finding it new. And a lot of people are saying they think it's the best out of all Trek. And so that's pretty cool.
Well, so is that what you're saying? Yeah, by the fact that you have it in your background, is that what you are saying? Is that it's the best?
I don't know if I want to use the word best, but it's my favorite. I don't like to use best.
Okay.
I feel like that's such a big kind of word. And that's them's fighting words, really. So I just think it's my favorite. And honestly, as a kid, like I was aware of it when it was happening, but didn't have an interest in like Brian just said, I missed stuff. So I was like, what's happening? Who are these people? Like, what's going on here? So, my first time watching it was only less than 10 years ago. And I was watching it thanks to streaming. So, and I was like, whoa, I really missed out. But I don't think I would have been able to appreciate it at that age anyway, because it was so different compared to the other Treks from that time period. And that includes the way Voyager was too. I mean, and Enterprise, DS9 really was just some real breakthrough stuff for the Star Trek universe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's different when you go back 20 years later, because 20 years in anybody's life, no matter what age you were at the time, versus 20 years in the future, you're different, or you look at things differently no matter what. And I think this conversation comes up a lot for those of us. I see it online in several of the forums on Facebook where we talk about what it was like watching TNG when it first aired versus now. Like this actually came up earlier today. I said this before.
Did it really?
Yeah, in one of the random groups I'm in, someone was talking about being a mom now and how it's different, watching things. So being a parent is different. When I was a kid, I identified with Wesley because I was pretty much the same age as Wesley's character was when he aired. Now I am older than Dr. Crusher. So it's different. And so I'm a mom. So it's very different to watch. I absolutely identify with the single working mom, but yeah. Well, so now when you're, similar to what you said about when you're interviewing guests and you're trying to look at the whole person, Star Trek is just one portion of their life. What are you doing when you're not podcasting or not thinking about Trek?
You mean there's something besides Trek out there? What are you talking about? I don't understand.
Yes, we all know there are.
Yeah.
There's other science fiction. There's other shows. There's other, things. So what are you doing when you're not podcasting?
I wish I had a good answer for this. It's usually just probably working on one of my other stupid things that I'm doing in my spare time. I mean, besides just trying to survive in this horrible world that we live in currently, that we're, days away from the Bell riots, it feels like.
Jeez.
Yeah, let's not go there. I have another YouTube channel where I do more nerdy things and toy related stuff. Working on other projects. I mean, these days it's kind of hard because, there's a lot going on out there in this world, and it's hard to figure out what the heck to do with your time. That's kind of the best way to put it, I guess, because I can't remember half what I do anymore because I'm doing so many different things, and I'm like so overwhelmed all the time with everything that's happening. So yeah, if I'm not doing Trek stuff, I'm probably doing something for my other YouTube channel, or I'm probably doing something for the business I just started recently, because I also just started a studio with some folks out here in New York called Press Record Studios.
Wow.
And so we're now basically in the business of helping people create content. So like really, when you ask that question, it's like terrible timing. Because I'm like, I haven't done anything for myself in months, it feels like. Because I've just been like working on this thing as well.
But apparently you're watching Bluey.
I am watching a lot of Bluey.
Which for our listeners, one, I'm going to justify this as it is a science fiction-y enough show because it's anthropomorphic dogs. So, anthropomorphizing animals, that is a fantasy, almost science fiction-y thing to do. So there. Okay. And then two, if you are not watching this show, you need to watch it, especially if you are a parent. It's a show, really, it's marketed to kids. It's sort of a kid's show, but maybe not. Maybe it is actually for the parent. So if you are a parent out there, go find and watch Bluey. You will not be disappointed. So how did you start watching Bluey?
I was like wondering, is this where Dina's going to segue into Bluey here? So I was like, yeah, well done.
Yes.
Well done. I was like, I don't even think of it as like spare time. I'm just like, it's just ingrained in my blood now. So it's just kind of like me. Because, like I said, like last few years, especially, things have been rough in my life in a lot of ways, professionally and personally too, just dealing with a lot of stuff that was going on. But Bluey is just this like nice little 7 minutes of heaven where I don't really even think about it anymore. I'm just like, there it is. I just turn on my TV and it's probably on Disney Junior at some point, no matter what time, or Disney Channel at any point in the day, or I go on to Disney Plus and there it is, or whatever. So yeah, Bluey just kind of came at the right time because, we talked about when I started the podcast, I probably started watching Bluey around the same time period.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think it was probably because, again, life was weird at that point. Life was weird at the start of the pandemic. And you're just trying to find an escape of some kind from reality. And I'm also a cartoon buff as well. Like I'm a big animated fan. When I was little, I wanted to be an animator. Now I'm doing something way different. But that was like my thing was I wanted to be an animator. Then I was going to be an illustrator. And I still do some of that. So I always really stay up to date with like what's going on in the world of animation. And flipping through the channels, I just kept seeing Bluey pop up on my guide. like no matter what time of day it was, it's like Disney Channel. There's like 4 hours of Bluey. Oh, look, Disney Junior. There's like another 4 hours. What the heck is this thing? And like, mind you, I don't really have an interest in Paw Patrol. I don't have kids. I'm just a big one. So one day I was like, I'm just going to look at what this thing is. I don't know what it is. Let me just tune in for like a second. If I don't like it, I'll just change the channel. Like, because there was literally nothing else on. So I did that. And I was like, okay, I'm into this. I kept watching. I think the first one that I saw was the episode called Yoga Ball. And again, don't really know much about what Bluey is. And that's, and all these episodes, for folks who don't know Bluey, they have like the most innocent names, and they're all usually named after a game that's being played by the parents and the kids. And so the Yoga Ball episode is where the dad, Bandit, is playing with his daughters, Bluey and Bingo. And he's like, essentially, playing Indiana Jones with them. Like he's like, they want to play like a game like where Boulder chases them down a hallway. So Bandit gets his yoga ball and like throws it at them, and they're running from it and all this stuff. And the episode is that basically it's like his Bandit is playing too rough for Bingo. Bingo is the little daughter. She, Bluey's 6 at the time. Bingo is 4, and Bluey can handle it, but Bingo doesn't like the rough play as much, and she doesn't know how to like say, I don't like this. And she kind of gets hurt and she gets sad. And it's like as her mom then tells her, she has to use her big girl bark, which is basically being able to speak up for yourself. And I was like, whoa, this is deep. This is a cartoon that's like TVY, and I'm like on the verge of tears on that episode because I'm like, wow, that's a valuable lesson for adults too. Like adults need to learn how to use their big girl bark or their big boy bark or their big non-binary bark or whatever bark you got to have. Sometimes you got to know when to speak for yourself. And I'm like, 7 minutes. They just nailed that like perfectly. So from that point on, I was like, okay, I'm going to keep watching. And then I watched Sleepy Time. And then my world was ruined because I watched Sleepy Time.
Which one was, I'm trying to think which one was that. I don't know if I've seen every single one of them.
Sleepy Time is one that breaks everybody. Like I don't know about the rest of the panel today from Big Sci-Fi, but if you haven't seen Bluey, Sleepy Time is one that breaks you. And I've had people over for like parties and events at my house, and they'll ask about Bluey. And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna watch a few. And I put on a few. I kind of know the ones to get people into the show, and then I throw them into Sleepy Time. And that's the one where it breaks everybody. You will cry. You will cry. You have no choice in the matter. It's not an option.
I don't think I think I must not have seen that one. The one that really hit home with me or really got me, and is the one that I was like, wow, this is now, I know was for adults, is the one when the mom's sister comes to visit and she hadn't been around in several years. And the reason, and it's just so subtle how they bring this out, where you have to be an adult to really see this. The kids are not, or this is going to go over any kid's head. The reason why the sister hasn't been around is it's too heartbreaking because she hasn't been able to get pregnant herself. She wants kids desperately.
Oh, wow.
She hasn't been able to have kids. So she's basically been avoiding her family. And this is now she's kind of starting to come back. And just how they are and how subtle it is and how meaningful. That's the one that got me. Because now, while I didn't have that problem myself, I have a lot of friends and people who really struggled to get pregnant. And so seeing that on the screen in a kids show, which is completely watchable by kids because it's from the kids' perspective. Oh, our aunt is here, and cool, and all that stuff. But then they do so much in such a short period of time. It's brilliant. Everyone should watch this show.
Yeah, that episode is called Onesies from season 3. You can get that on Disney Plus. And yeah, again, we're talking a 7-minute cartoon, Australian produced series. 7 minutes. Tell me what other kids cartoon out there is addressing fertility issues. And like Adina said, like there's essentially always two stories happening side by side, because there's the one that the kids can understand, and then there's the one that the big kids like me and Adina will understand and be like, whoa, okay, they just did that, and they did it perfectly. Like, yeah. That's why Bluey is so awesome for, adults, and whether or not you do have kids too, it doesn't make a difference. Like I mentioned earlier, I don't have kids.
Which I'm surprised, because I guess I didn't really know or see how an adult without kids would take all that, but interesting. So that's interesting.
I don't know much about, let's say statistical analysis about who the Bluey fans are, but a high percentage are childless adults. And for a lot of them, they use Bluey as the term I've heard now is reparenting themselves.
So interesting.
So, because a lot of Bluey addresses trauma, a lot of childhood traumas. And that's also what Bluey is about. There's episodes where the kids are using play to address their own traumas. There's an episode called Copycat, which, again, really innocent sounding title, right? So the episode is about Bluey and her dad are playing one day, and they're playing outside, and they discover a bird on the ground, and the bird got hurt. So Bandit goes inside, and they do this whole thing where they wrap up the bird, put him in a shoebox, and bring him to a vet. And then a few hours later, the vet says, I'm sorry, but the bird didn't make it. And Bluey's really sad, but doesn't entirely understand it. So then the rest of the episode is Bluey reenacting this routine that just happened to her, having her sister play the part of the bird and trying to understand what happens. And then at the end, her sister's like, okay, now I come back, right? And Bluey's like, no, you don't. And, things continue to happen. No spoilers, but basically that's how Bluey is now processing this immediate trauma that a 6-year-old would have no idea how to understand, but this is how they understand it. And as an adult watching, you're just like, whoa, it starts to bring things up inside of you. It opens up these places you probably haven't been to in your head in a long time. I mean, there's episodes I can't even talk about because they'll mess me up right now doing this interview with you guys. So sorry, hold off on scratching off on your bingo card. No Trek Untold crying in this one.
But then you also have the lighthearted ones, like when they build the unbelievably massive fort out of all the cushions in their house, including a bathroom and the whole thing. And I thought that was really creative to be able to do that. And that was fun. It was, there is very heavy episodes or very involved and emotional episodes. And then you have lighthearted ones that also kind of take the stress away.
But the lighthearted ones, even still, I think very accurately represent the parental experience when you have young kids that age, and how you are constantly at their beck and call and constantly exhausted. And there's one episode, I don't remember I don't remember the name of the episode, but the parents, they're just wiped. I think they might actually be hungover or something. I don't
You're
know.
talking about whale watching.
Yes, that one. They're
I know
wiped
Bluey
out.
names better than I do Star Trek names.
Oh,
Holy
man,
cow.
that's impressive. But
That's pretty
they're
cool.
wiped out.
Wow.
So they're both on the couch. They want to have snacks. They just kind of just want to. They're tired for whatever reason. They're tired. They are tired, and the kids have energy and want to play and all this. And just watching the parents like deal with that, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is real life. I mean, they're really accurately representing. And just even as they go to places and things, and you see the parents having to just like, oh, like. You asked me the same question 5 times, and all those things that us parents go through that have those age kids or have had those age kids. It's amazing.
My son has a phrase that he uses relentlessly and about 1 million times a day, and it's this: "You want to know something? After about the 30th, you want to know something?" The answer is always no.
No,
I don't. But I'm sure I'm going to any second. So,
yes.
Well, I'm looking forward. I just want to say I'm looking forward, Matt, for my daughter Stephanie to listen to this episode because she lives Bluey with my grandson.
Great.
So I'm sure she will. I will want to know if she reacts the same way to the individual episodes that you've mentioned. Did she get the same feeling for them as an adult with a child, and how does she relate to it? So I'll be very interested to see her reaction to it.
Yeah, everybody kind of reacts differently to them. Like one episode that might not get you will get somebody else. I mean, I know there's like there's one called Space, which a lot of fans are confused by. Others are broken by that one completely. And just to tie everything back to Star Trek, because this is a Star Trek podcast, there actually is an episode with a maybe kind of sort of perhaps Star Trek connection.
Oh,
I haven't seen that. See, I just got to go and binge the whole thing now.
I gotta binge it. Yeah, that one's called Camping, and I kind of don't want to tell anybody what it's about now. So I'm just gonna say, look up Camping. Okay. It's from season 2, I believe, and you guys, because you're Trekkies, will I think pick up on it really quickly. And if you don't, you have me back on the show and I'll explain it to you guys. But I think that's on your homework for next time we all meet.
Homework.
We would love
excellent.
to have you on
Trek Long Island. You better tell me all about.
Yes. I was going to say when we see Trek Long Island, we can touch base on camping.
And I'm going to have my Bluey Trek stickers, by the way, as well there. So yeah, I'm already in there.
Nice.
Can you save one for my daughter, please?
Will do.
Love it. Yeah, thank you.
I must have one of those. Must. Okay, everybody. So since you did mention Trek Long Island again, I am going to segue into our little preview of Trek trivia and games for Trek Long Island. If everyone is ready. So we're going to do 3 different games.
Who I'm sorry, who won last time our little trivia?
I think that was me.
I purposely lost just so I could not screw up bad, okay?
Okay. Well, here's what we're going to do. I have 3 games/activity. They're games/trivia for us. We're going to just do a little bit of each, and I'm going to loosely keep score because I noticed doing it on the podcast, it's actually harder to keep score than anywhere else. So, but I'm going to do my best. But yeah, and this is going to be good stuff where our listeners can play along too. We're going to do a little bit of trivia. Then we're going to do a little bit of Who Said It, where I will give you a quote and you have to tell me who said it. And then we're going to do a little memory game. We're going on a starship. It's just like we're going on a picnic, but we're going on a starship. And I'll explain exactly how that will work when we get there.
We prefer at my house, we're going on a vacation. That's the game we play. It's just happier.
Instead of, okay. Yeah. Well, so is everyone ready to start trivia?
Of
Ready.
course.
I mean, what if one of us said no, Adina? What would
you do?
I'd say, well, get yourself ready.
No, she would just shut you out. She'd click the little button and you are gone.
Okay. So let's just do this where I'm going to call on one of you and ask a question. And I'm going to start with our guest, Matt. Are you ready?
Into the agony booth I go.
Okie dokie. Okay, here's your first question. You're lucky. So I chose these questions ahead of time, not knowing that what your favorite Star Trek was or anything. So you're in luck because
good. This could be extra embarrassing when I mess it up.
That's always my fear too. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a Deep Space Nine question. And it's also partly in honor of the fact that Armin Shimmerman was one of our previous guests a few months ago.
Okay.
So who
Who's
acted?
this? This is just for Matthew. I'm sorry.
This is just for Matt, but if
Okay,
Matt gets it
okay.
wrong, any of you can jump in and shout out the answer.
So be prepared to jump in and shout out the answer.
Well, it's also, I can give
Don't
you the
sell
multiple
yourself
choice.
short, Matt.
Yeah. Let's see. So, well, I'll do it the first way where I just let you answer, and then we'll say, I'll give you the multiple choice. And if after that, then everyone can shout in.
Okay.
So, who acted as Quark's financial advisor in the episode Rules of Acquisition? And so the multiple choice answers are Ishka, Ram, Nog, or Pell.
Rules of acquisition.
Chris knows the answer. He's just nodding his head, and he's got that look on his face like, I'm just waiting for him to mess up, and I'm going to say it.
I'm being polite, but yes.
Like, I do
think
want
I
to
know
say
the
Ishka.
answer.
I'm trying to remember, but yeah, it's that's a good one too. I'm gonna go with Ishka.
Okay. Chris, what do you think?
It is Pell.
It is Pell.
Oh,
She's
I'd have been wrong too.
I was like, yeah.
I was going to say Ishka because the name sounded cool. So,
Who the heck is Pell?
Yeah, Pell is she's a
Quark's financial advisor.
woman. Yeah, she's a woman who pretends to be a man and comes into Quark's life, but she falls in love with him. And there's a whole storyline around trying to get, I think it's a Tuliberry wine that they're trying to get access to, and she's part of that. And they're
that sounds
negotiating.
like, yep.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say,
Is she a
Brian, your
Klingon?
homework
Is she a Klingon?
No,
no,
that's
she's Ferengi.
who's the? I don't know
Well,
who you're thinking of.
I'm gonna watch it again. I don't remember that at
So
all.
homework.
You're thinking
Rules of
of, I
Acquisition.
think Brian's thinking of Grilka
Yeah,
Grilka.
Grilka.
from
Okay.
Finding Parmak in all the wrong places, and another
Yes.
episode as well. Yeah,
That's right.
Pell's a good one. Yeah, Pell's one of those also performers I've been trying to track for several years, and I think I know how to find the person, but haven't had any luck actually getting them on the show yet. So fingers
Okay.
crossed. Rub my lobes for good luck.
Rub your lips.
Excellent. Okay. Well, so Chris, since you got that one right, you're going to get the next one.
Okay,
Okay.
let's see.
Which of the following did Morn not leave Quark in Who Mourns for Morn?
Okay,
A, a black velvet painting. B, his favorite drinking glass. C, a tub of mud. Or D, a bar of gold pressed latinum. Which
I
did
think
he
it's,
not leave for Quark?
I think he did not leave. Oh, wait a minute. So, because we listen to this episode all the time. So there's the painting. There's that he gets that gets ripped, and he gets the slip. Let me see if I can figure this out logically. He does have the mud bath, but he does. But he doesn't get a bar of latinum. But I'm gonna have to go with bar of latinum is the one that he does not get.
But you just said he did.
Because I remember him getting it, and then he looks at the back, and then it's like it's just one bar, but he gets it, and then there's a bank number on it. And then he goes to the can you read them one more time?
Okay. A black
Let's
velvet
see if this
painting,
works.
his
Yeah.
favorite drinking glass,
Oh,
a tub of mud, or a bar of gold pressed latinum.
sorry, I apologize, everyone. The drinking glass.
Yes.
I
Okay.
don't know why that took me so long. Full
I'm
apologies.
queuing up the Jeopardy theme for our answers from now on. I'm just saying.
Okay, that
just
sounds
kidding.
good. Okay.
I'm not
That's
doing
fair.
Okay. Steve, you ready?
No, but go ahead.
Okay.
that. Want to know something?
How many Klingon vessels attacked the Enterprise in the Kobayashi Maru simulation in The Wrath of Khan?
3.
That is correct.
Are you sure?
I believe so.
Are you positive?
I'm going to go that there was one at the 2 position, the 6 position, and the 10 position.
Okay.
Am I wrong or
No,
right?
you're correct. You
Okay.
were
I was gonna
right.
say that sounded right because there's 3 on the view screen. I was like, what?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I would just like to state for the record that was the easiest of the first 3 questions.
Fine. Okay, fine.
I would like
so Brian, you're next.
I would have
Okay.
You're
gone for the
next.
question
I'm
for
so
Chris
nervous.
as all of the above, but that doesn't work either.
I'm so nervous.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, I'm drinking my tea Earl Grey hot from my Star Trek mug for good luck. I'm rubbing the Enterprise right now for good luck. So here we go.
Okay. Well, see, now I want to give you a hard, so I have all these questions. I want to give you a
I
hard
opened
one.
my mouth.
Mean.
I opened my mouth about it, and
Coming at me when I'm trying to think.
Okay. This one in theory, I want to say it's easy. Things are easy when you know them, right? And they're hard when you just don't know them.
Mm-hmm.
What part of the Academy entrance exam was Wesley most worried about?
Okay.
Do you know without me giving you multiple choice?
I think I know the episode, but I need to hear
Okay.
it.
I'd
out
like
loud.
to hear
I don't
it
know
too,
if I
yeah.
could.
Mhm.
The spatial orientation part, first contact, statistics, or the psych test?
Ooh, I think it's the psych test.
Why do you think it's the psych test?
Because I think he was worried about facing some fear or something like that.
Yep, it was the psych test.
Okay.
You are correct. Okay, so everyone got a question. So that is the end of the trivia part. We're going to move on to who said it. I'm not keeping score because, why?
I think we
No,
all
because-
scored 1 point.
I think I scored 2, actually.
Right.
I just say this in the most cocky way possible.
Yes. 2
Oh!
points for Gryffindor.
Oh, that's
Very
right.
good.
Okay. Dang it.
Yep.
No darn half points this time, Steve, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
the
I
half
live
point.
for the half points.
I love Gryffindor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. So now
Matt gets
here,
an honorary point just for enduring this with us.
sure, let's do that. Okie dokie. Now we're going to go on to who said it. I'm going to say some quotes and you guys are going to tell me who said it. And
Right.
these are, in theory, not easy. And here's the only thing is I'm making a list of quotes. What's really funny is, we did this last year. I'm hoping I'm not reusing some of my quotes. It's quite possible. I meant to go back and re-listen to our episode last year and see what I used, but I did not. So, maybe I'm saying
No.
the same one twice. I don't know.
If
somebody gets it right-
remember.
If somebody gets it right, it means they're a listener, and that's what matters.
Okay.
Ooh,
Are we
good.
just jumping in? Are we just shouting out our
Yeah.
answer?
So
Are we
this
having to-
one, you guys are just going to jump in. This time, you're just going to jump in. I'm going to say a quote, and you're going to be like, ah, and maybe
Do we-
two of you will jinx each other, and it'll just be that kind
Do
of
we need
chaotic.
a noise, though? Do we need our own ringer noise like last time?
There you go. That just make a noise.
All right.
Oh, yo, 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 yo.
Yeah, something like that. Okay. Ready for quote number 1?
Mhm.
Okay. They have 2 settings, stun and kill. It would be best not to confuse them.
We did have this
I
last
just
time.
recently saw that.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
No. Oh, this. I think I know. This is.
Well, then
is
someone
this-
should know.
Yeah. Is this?
Was this
Khan
wasn't
in Into Darkness?
I'm going to go and throw out a wild guess here. And
Yeah.
based on the sarcastic tone, I'm going to say it's Tuvok. Why not? Let's go for Tuvok.
Ooh.
No. Good guess.
I like
good
my
guess.
answer, so I'm going to give myself a point anyway.
Oh,
Okay.
no. I'm thinking of a
Okay.
Yours
different
was the
line.
most
Understand the way this
convincing
game works,
answer.
Matt.
it wasn't wait a minute, and it wasn't from Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow? Nope. Okay.
It's Spock.
No,
No?
no,
Okay.
no.
I've-
Damn, guys. Okay.
We're all who?
Yeah, you all
I
busted
mean, to
this
be
one.
fair, there are like several decades of Star Trek quotes to
Yes.
remember here. I mean,
Exactly.
we're pulling all
Yeah.
of our isolinear chips out of our heads to figure this
Okay.
out.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Adina.
Malcolm Reed in Broken Bow.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Right,
Now I
yes.
remember.
Yes.
The phase pistols.
I think that stumped us last time, too.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so
So
you
you
guys didn't
stumped us
study
again.
Yeah.
with the
You know what's
same
funny?
one.
Is I spent an hour trying to find that one scene for a phaser video that I was trying to do last year.
Mhm.
So I'm embarrassed, but
Okay.
Me too.
I say
This is all good.
It
'Cause I
is
know
what it is.
Christian and Steve, you guys are doing an Enterprise panel at Truckland Island this year too, though, right?
Are we?
Well, I'll
Is
tell
that
you now, you are.
official? Yes.
Are we?
Can we preach?
You guys are doing it, so
Here we
yeah.
go.
How good Star Trek Enterprise is.
Breaking news. Yeah, Steve and Christian will be doing an Enterprise
Oh,
Can we
Appreciation
hand out
panel
pretzels?
Cool.
Saturday
That
morning.
is so exciting. I will be dressed accordingly, as what everyone knows. That'll be so. Oh,
Good.
thank you.
We're
And I
glad
sure hope they
you'll
don't
be
change the
dressed.
panels on me, but yeah, that's the plan.
Oh, that's
Okay,
great,
very cool.
Chris.
Okay.
We're gonna have fun. We're gonna
Let's
have
do it.
fun. Audience participation. It's gonna be.
Let's talk
Excellent,
water
excellent.
polo for 2 hours if we can.
And
Okay,
I'll bring Portos with me. Portos.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. You guys ready for your next quote?
Yes. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
I think so.
Okay. Being an outsider isn't so bad. It gives one a unique perspective.
Oh, that's Odo.
Bonus points if you know the episode.
Ooh.
Shoot.
I
Chris
think
is
when does
killing
Odo
us.
get outsidery? I think maybe Way of the Warrior. No,
Ooh.
talking
You
to
still
War.
get 1 point,
You get a
Chris.
point for
That's
that.
good. Yeah.
If we don't know the quote and we guess the episode,
Or-
though, do we get a point?
Sure, why not? Yeah.
I keep thinking of the episode, but I don't remember the name of it.
Is he
That's the
talking
problem,
to female changeling in this?
I felt like he was talking to it might be the episode with Dae Young as the guest star, I want to say, but I don't know if
Ooh,
that's correct
okay.
or not. And I don't remember the name of the episode, so it doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, the episode is The Search Part 2.
Ah, yes.
Okay. We're going to do another one here.
Okay.
If you guys are ready.
Okay.
The first tenet of good medicine is never make the patient any worse.
Well, I'm going to say that it's a doctor, and
That's a good.
I'm going to end my
Which
answer there on top.
That's half a point. Half a point.
That sounds to
Is it-
me a lot like Phlox.
I was going to say, is it Phlox?
Does it sound like Fox? Really?
Because I think
No.
because when Rita's injured, he says some comment like, it says I'm not supposed to make you worse, but doesn't mean I can't cause you pain. And he's trying to like fix his leg.
I'm wondering, is that from Strange New Worlds? Is that Doctor? Is that from that?
No,
Benga?
No.
it's not
No,
Dr.
okay.
Mbenga.
Dr.
Okay.
McCoy.
No.
Doctor Who could it be?
Dr.
You mean you
Hey.
mean whom, not who. Whom?
Oh, yes, right. Grammar.
Pulowski. It's Pulowski.
No,
Hello?
but you're closer. You're
Just
at least in
name-
Next Generation.
just
This is
name Crusher.
Is this
it's
Dr.
Dr.
Crusher?
Crusher
I don't
episode-
even.
from the episode Ethics,
Oh,
Worf
yes,
gets
yes.
right?
Yes.
Yep.
The
Yep.
barrels.
Yep.
I'm not
Yep.
even going to give myself a point. 4 guesses to get there doesn't deserve a point. I don't.
I'll
think.
take
Okay.
your points. Fine.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, do we have any more to redeem ourselves?
I freely
Okay,
offer
I'm giving you
them.
one more. I'm giving you one
Okay.
more, and then we're moving on to our third.
All right.
Okay, all right. Last one. Because we're doing so good right now.
I know, I know.
Oh dear, oh yes, you
I am
betcha.
rolling in
Mm.
points.
Oh.
I need to rewatch Fargo.
The final frontier has some boundaries that shouldn't be crossed.
Well, I think that's Spock, maybe from Star
Wait.
Trek 5.
I'm gonna say it one
There's
more
some-
time.
I
The
don't think,
final frontier has some boundaries that shouldn't be crossed. Do do do.
It's not Spock from Final Frontier.
It is
no,
not.
he does not say that.
It is.
The
It's
soundboard should never
Captain
be broken.
Pike from Strange New Worlds.
You're right that it's a captain. It is not Pike.
Oh,
Start naming captains quick. Just throw them
Right
out there.
Captain Picard, Captain Kirk,
Morgan.
Captain
Captain Morgan.
MD.
Captain Janeway.
Oh, Janeway. Yes.
Hey.
Hey.
That was a
After
good
like the
effort.
fifth guess.
Yeah.
That
So
was
good
like
point
a
for Dr. Pepper, I
disgrace
think.
point. I appreciate. I'm glad I got the point, but that's like not a
Part
great
of a point.
win.
Yeah.
Part
Part
of
of
a
a
point.
point. Okay.
From the episode The Omega Directive.
Ah, yes.
Okay.
And in answer to your reaction, Brian, I mentioned Fargo because it sounded like Steve was doing
Oh
an
no,
impression
no! I'm
from-
not doing
Oh,
Fargo.
okay.
That's just not very nice of you to say that, dear boy. Now, would you like some cheese?
We're just.
Okay, we're gonna move on to our. We're gonna move on.
Awkward
final game.
pause.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is we're going on a starship. The game that I knew from a kid is we're going on a picnic. We're going on vacation, and the
Mhm.
idea is the first person says, "I'm going on a starship, and I'm taking a," and they name something from Star Trek that begins with A. Be anything, just Star Trek. Then the
From-
second person will say,
Hmm.
"I'm going on a starship, and I'm taking a what the first person said, like apples, but has to be a Star Trek thing. And then B, whatever B is. So it's
A B
really
word.
kind
It
of
has to be a B word.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay.
And we
so
just go alphabetically until
Oh, it does
someone
have
busts.
to be alphabetical.
Oh yeah, yes. Yeah.
Oh, I've
That's
never
how we always
played
played
this
it.
That,
way.
okay, so
Mhm.
that's where the A B. That's where you can
Yes.
do the notes.
Wondered
okay.
why you kept saying A and then B, and I was.
Mhm.
A.
So I
Okay,
think our
so-
guest should start us off.
But then, what's the sequence that you're going to go from there?
So from there, we're going to go alphabetically.
Okay,
So,
Matt.
so then
okay.
Brian, Chris, Steve,
Okay.
and I will keep track.
Okay.
Okay, Matt, and then we go around and around until like it busts.
And what was the prompting? And just make sure I got that
Okay.
correct.
I'm going on a starship, or we're going on a starship, and we're taking name something from Star Trek that starts with A.
All right. I'm just gonna say I'm going on a Star Trek. How about that?
Has to start with A.
Some
Okay.
kind of Star Trek.
I'm going on a Star Trek, and I'm going on a Trek. Okay, and
We'll
I'm
keep it easy.
taking a something.
I'm going on a Star Trek, and I'm taking an Andorian.
Easy.
That works.
Keep it easy
All
for you
right.
guys. Yeah.
Brian.
Yeah, I'm going on a Star Trek. I'm taking an Andorian and a binary.
Oh.
A
mean a
binar.
Binar.
or do you
Binar.
mean-
Binar.
Binar.
That's what I-
Binar.
Okay.
I
Chris.
am going on a Star Trek, and I am going to take an Andorian and a Binar, and I am going to take a computer core.
Okay. Steve.
I'm going on a Star Trek with an Andorian, a Binar, oh, shoot. I forgot what you said, Chris. Darn
Begins
it.
with C.
Do you want me to say it? Do I say it?
Yeah, go ahead, Chris. Say it.
A computer core.
A computer core on the Delta Flyer.
Okay. Matt, back to you.
I'm going on a Star Trek, and I'm going to take an Andorian, a Binar, a computer core, and a Delta Flyer.
And then E. You have to add E.
Forgot about the E. Yeah. Okay. I'm also going to take an Enterprise.
Perfect.
This is hilarious. All right, I'm going on a Star Trek, and I'm taking an Andorian, a Binar, computer core, the Delta Flyer, the Enterprise, and the Farragut.
Good luck remembering that
Okay.
stuff.
Oh, God. All
Chris.
right.
Okay. I am going on a Star Trek. I'm taking an Andorian, a Binar, a computer core, a Delta Flyer, an Enterprise, a Farragut, and a Guinan.
Okay. Or just say Guinan, not a Guinan, just Guinan.
Yeah.
Okay.
She replicated.
Steve.
Okay. I'm going on a Star Trek. I'm taking Andorian, a Binar, computer core, Delta, and Enterprise, Farragut. Boy, it just popped on a Guinan and the holodeck.
Okay. It's back to you, Matt.
Hate this game so much already.
Me too.
I'm going
dying
on a Star
over it.
Trek, and I'm bringing an Andorian. Thankfully, I didn't forget my own. An Andorian, a Binar, a computer core, a Delta Flyer, Farragut, a Guinan, a holodeck, and what starts with an I? An Edic.
Oh.
Okay.
Did I start with
Okay.
an that
Dang.
does start with an I.
I was actually thinking isolinear chip, but
Too hard.
Oh.
Too
okay.
many syllables. Oh no.
Right.
But it's this is why doing alphabetically, because to me that's the clue, the fact that you know the first letter of the thing.
Right.
Well,
Brian.
Dina's the smartest one here. We are not, so we're just making it easy for ourselves
Hey.
as much as we can.
Note that I'm actually not playing. You say that, but I'm
That's
not
why you're
playing.
the smartest one here.
All right. I'm going on a Star Trek, and I'm taking an Andorian, a Binar, computer core, Delta Flyer, the Enterprise, the Farragut, the Guinan, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, the holodeck, I, the Edic,
J.
Jeffrey's tube.
I'm taking.
Jeffrey's tube. Take a Jeffrey's tube.
No, I don't want to though, because I hear this voice in my ear, and I'm taking
A Jenkum Pog.
Isn't there some Bajoran dessert or something that starts with J?
Jumbo.
Oh, you're thinking Jumbo stick.
Jumbo
Are you
stick?
thinking, yeah,
Is that what it's called? Jumja
Jumja
stick?
stick.
Is that what
They're
it's
really
called?
Sweet. I think so. Jumja stick.
Yeah.
Jumja?
Okay, I'm going with that.
Okay.
Oof. Okay.
Chris.
Junji Ito stick.
You can do it. You can do it.
Oh, I know. Okay. I am going on a Star Trek. I'm taking an Andorian, a Binar, a computer core, a Delta Flyer, an Enterprise, E, G. No,
Can you read my lip?
sorry, F. I forgot what the F was.
Farrah.
Oh, the Farragut.
Uh-huh.
Guinan.
I like how we're helping each other out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're nice people here.
An Edict.
You missed H.
H.
Yep. After Guinan and before Edic. H.
A
We can
holodeck.
go. There
Right.
you go.
Holodeck. And there was something. Forgot where I was, but I forgot.
I'm sorry, you were
before
I.
I before
Oh yeah,
E.
I. So that's Edict.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's
J. You just help Ryan out with J.
with the Jumja.
Uh-huh.
And
K.
I am going to bring Kang with me.
Kang. Okay.
Is that with the K?
The
That's with
Klingon.
the K, right?
Yeah.
Klingon,
Yeah.
yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, Clank. Yeah.
Kang the Klingon.
Ooh, okay. All right. All right. Huh.
Right.
Okay, Kong.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going into Star Trek. I'm taking an Andorian, a Binar, a computer core, the Delta Flyer, Enterprise, Farragut, Guinan, Holodeck, Edict, Jemjik Stick, Kang in lower decks.
Cool. Matt.
Oh, we're still doing this, are we? Okay.
We are still doing it.
just a full disclosure, I have a thing open. I'm not writing anybody's names down, but I did write down the alphabet because I'm like, I don't want to forget what comes next in the alphabet. That's the hardest part to
Exactly.
remember right now.
The
I have to
song.
say it in my head every time, guys.
Alphabet is hard, y'all.
Mhm.
Okay. I'm going on a Star Trek, and I'm taking an Andorian, a Binar, a computer core, a Delta Flyer, an Enterprise, a Farragut, a Guinan, a Holodeck, an Edict, a Junja Stick, a Kang, a Lower Decks, and a Moriarty.
Moriarty.
Oh
Cool.
my goodness.
I like it.
I'm going on
Brian.
a Star Trek, and oh my word. I'm taking
Too many letters.
an Andorian. I'm taking a Binar. I'm taking a computer core, a Delta Flyer, the Enterprise, the Farragut, the Guinan, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, the Holodeck, I, the Edict, the Jumja Stick, Klang, the Klingon General, JJKL, Lower Decks, M. Oh my gosh. I'm taking
Sherlock Holmes.
I'm taking Moriarty. Thank you. I'm also going to invite the ever so sweet Naomi Wildman.
Nice. I like that. We're going to probably stop there. That's
Thank
halfway
you.
through the alphabet. You guys are looking so pained and so tortured.
This is hard. Alphabets
This is
are
our
hard.
secret pain.
This is
Man.
good. This
Too
is
many
really
letters in
good.
the alphabet. That's the problem.
26. Yeah, there's
Yes.
20. We've got 26.
I had to write
you
them
know,
down, kids. I have short-term memory problems. Too many.
These words are going to haunt me when I go to sleep tonight. I'm going to be like a Binar, a Guinan. Oh no, I've got it out of order. Oh God.
So
It's
that
Future
will be the
Perfect all
funny
over
thing.
again.
The funny thing will be like, do any of us remember this specific set, a week or two from now? Like when we're at Trek Long Island.
that'd be kind of be fun to see if we
Yep.
do.
So I do spend a lot of time actually playing around with like memory games and memory tricks. So it's actually quite possible I would.
I just play Sudoku as much as I can. Keep my
I
mind
do a lot
sharp.
of memory. I do a lot of memory things because they're fun and I like to like exercise. That's It's kind of part of my
Yeah.
exercise routine. Let's just put it that way. So
You know,
do a
you
lot
know
of
what
the
else
games
I
master of the Triskelion.
yeah. You know what else I do to keep my mind sharp, folks?
Hmm.
I watch Star Trek.
There you
Yes.
go. That's a
Mhm.
good boy. That's a good boy.
That's a good
Okay.
man.
Well, guys, I'm giving you guys all the points. You guys did great, and I'm really like thank you for humoring me in playing my games and trivia. If
Thank you,
nothing
Matt,
else,
for being good about this whole
I just
Yes.
hope
thing.
Matt will come back someday to our podcast.
Dorian buying our computer core Delta Flyer. Oh, it's like a self-destruct code for a starship.
and I promise the
Ooh,
ones
that'd
that
be
we
cool.
actually do at Trek Long Island are a little bit easier. We kind of build up if
Yeah.
the folks in the audience can seem
Are we
to
gonna do
want
the-
more.
Are we
Are
going
we
to do
gonna
the
do-
same thing where we're going to have people come from the audience and sit with us as our co-players?
To be determined. Just come. Everyone who's
Ah,
listening,
okay.
who is going to come to Trek
Yeah,
Long Island,
it's
should just
so
come
much fun.
and find out and see what we're going to do there.
You may be on the stage with a complete loser.
Steve is waving his hand, referring
Don't
to
talk
himself.
about me
just so
that
you
way,
know.
Steve. So, speaking of Trek Long Island, should we spend a minute talking about Trek Long Island?
Yes,
Let's do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I would love to.
Absolutely.
This is going to be so much fun. Again, for the casual listeners, don't know that last year at Trek Long Island was the first time Adina, myself, Cris, and Brian physically met each other. But it didn't feel like we physically met each other because we've known each other for that point for a full year or more. And it was just seeing our old friends again, only in 3 dimensions as opposed to 2 dimensions. So coming again, this next troop and getting to meet yourself, Matt, again, and also many of the people we interviewed during this past 2 years will again be so much fun.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I think we're all looking forward to it. Matt, how did you get involved in Trek Long Island originally?
Oh, well, much like you guys, I attended the first year event also, and like I said earlier, I got to meet you guys very briefly, and that was just the weirdness of Trek Long Island. Also, is this is not a slight to anybody, but all of us were just doing our own thing. That we barely had time to talk to each other. It felt like, and that's all the podcasters across the board. We were all just there was so much going on, there was so much happening. I think this year, now that all of us got our nerves out, I'm hoping we're all going to be a lot more social and hanging out a little bit more. But it's tough these conventions, right?
When you're working them, when you're actually doing work, it's a lot. It is absolutely a lot of work, but it is so much fun. It is absolutely worthwhile. And with that, I'm actually going to say thank you, Matt, so much for joining us tonight. Thank you for coming on to our podcast and playing some trivia and games. And we are going to, I think, wrap up today's galactic journey. We're really looking forward to seeing you at Trek Long Island 2. We're hoping our listeners will come out too. If you're interested, listeners, in meeting all of us at New York's only fan-run Star Trek convention, so go to right now, treklongisland.com for tickets, photo ops, and more information. And thank you also for tuning in to the Big Sci-Fi Podcast. If you can't make it to Trek Long Island, you can always interact and chat with us on our Facebook group or find us on Instagram and Twitter, and maybe drop us a note at the Big Sci-Fi Podcast at gmail.com. Remember, everyone, it's a big sci-fi universe out there, and the voyage never ends. Please always remember to extend kindness and understanding to all beings across the galaxy. Live long and prosper, and join us once more for the next cosmic journey on the Big Sci-Fi Podcast.
Coconut.